So today's topic, we're talking about non-sport rookie cards. We're going to try to make this make sense. You ready? Then let's do it. Hello, rookie card collecting friends. Victor, the rookie card specialist, coming at you with an episode that is really one that has evolved through emails and or direct messages. And that is, Victor, what is your opinion on non-sport rookie cards? To be honest with you, I know very little about it, but I'm willing to learn. It's a topic that does interest me because the non-sport genre has been around for quite some time, and it is currently gaining steam within the hobby circles. So with that being said, I had to reach out for some help, and I reached out to perhaps the one man that I have dubbed the hardest working man in the hobby. You know him and love him as Newman. John Newman, welcome to the show, sir.
All right, man. Thank you, Victor. Right. That's quite the intro. I will say this, when it comes to non-sport rookies, I'm going to disappoint. This is a little bit of a different terrain than the sports landscape. It's a little more difficult and a lot more gray. So while I'll fill in some potholes, there'll still be some left if that makes any sense.
Like that's fair enough.
It's a different genre, I guess. I don't know a better 100%, word.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
You know, a lot of the non-sports stuff doesn't even initiate from packs. Now, some of it does, and some of it doesn't. So some of the rules, or what should be the rules of sport rookies, as you well know, sort of don't translate over 100% to the non-sport landscape.
Well,
so
I will share
a lot different.
I'm going to share this with you, John, is that I'm pretty sure you probably know more about it than I do, number one. Number two is, out of all my hobby collecting friends, you're the only one I know that collects non-sport. So you're my go-to guy, man.
Yeah, I'm surprised. You know, I think maybe people don't admit it. Maybe it's kind of like I'm the only guy that I do. You know, yeah. And I've always done it a little bit, Victor, but in the last, I'd say probably 4 or 5 years, I've sort of ramped it up even a little bit more. And maybe the way to say it is maybe spend a little more dollars in that category than ever before, where I didn't before. You know what I mean? So that's that, if that makes any sense. Take it a little more serious, get a little more serious about it than ever before.
Well, I do want to start though, John, and I introduced you as the hardest working man in the hobby, and I know you're not going to accept that, but I do know
I won't. I take it as obviously as a compliment. So I'm not trying to slip, but do I work hard? I'd like to think. I think I do, but I know I'm not. If we're ranking them, I know I've had people on my show that I know. I said the same thing to them, like, how do you do it and how do you get it all done? So,
well, I know
I'll say I'm in the top 20. I'll
all right.
I'll give that courtesy.
I'll accept that. But I do know that, I've been working with you now for probably 2-3 years now with Hobby Hotline. Started with Hobby Hotline,
maybe more.
And it's extended into Hobby News Daily, where we both work, and I see what you do behind the scenes, and what I see is a man that wears a lot of different hats in the hobby, who is always spearheading or leading certain things behind the scenes. And I don't think people see that, and I don't think people really know or appreciate all that you do. And I see it. And I really do, John, appreciate all that you do for the hobby. I can't let's talk about that for a minute. Let's talk about.
First off, I don't know what that costs me, but let me get my checkbook. So
you can pay me in cards. How about that?
I got my checkbook. It's a Steeler one, by the way. No, I'm just kidding. No, I appreciate that. And here's the thing I'll say too, Victor. Having people you work with, like, it's not a one-man show. You mentioned Hobby Hotline, Hobby News Daily. Hobby News Daily is a big group with 20 people.
Yeah.
Hobby Hotline is 17. I could be off by one, with Orlando coming on. So like that stuff doesn't happen without everybody, right? But somebody's got to sort of like get stuff done, right? And
That's right.
I do it, and I appreciate you saying that, because uh, it's nice to hear sometimes. I
So,
don't do it for that reason, but it is nice to hear sometimes.
so how many podcast episodes do you do on a week in 1 week?
Like just for Sports Card Nation, 2, which is Friday Sports Card Nation with a guest, and then Monday it alternates between Hobby Quick Hits, Victor, which is just me and one topic, short 15-20 minutes, and then Card Mentions with Danny Black. That's a live show we do every other Friday, and then I'll air that every other Monday instead of Hobby Quick Hits. So it'll be Mondays is either a Hobby Quick Hits episode or Card Mentions. And what I've done with Sports Card Nation is I've made most of the interview guests 2-part episodes to keep the length now to 30-40 minutes rather than an hour and 20 or potentially even longer. And it's been well received. Downloads have went up even more since that decision, and I'm not even going to take full credit for that. I had people reach out and say, John, love the show, but I'm driving to work, I'm driving home from work, and I still got 30 minutes to get to. Like, can what about making a double episode? And it's funny, Victor, I had already been thinking about it, and it was hearing that from 3 or 4 other people that really pushed me off that ledge to do it.
Yeah.
And that's where we are.
And
So
I know,
Card Matches, me and Danny is the longest episode. You get two big mouths like us on a Friday night. You're going to get an hour up, and we do keep that to an hour. So that's the good thing there.
and the foresight and the planning that goes into that, and I think that's what a lot of people don't see or realize, is that I was trying to get on your show back in before the National, and you're like, dude, I'm booked until October.
And that's the bad part. I don't know if saying it's the bad part, but doing it that way now with double episodes.
Yeah.
Without doing the double episodes now, instead of having to have 4 guests a month, now I only have 2. So that sort of, in a whole calendar year, I'm going to have half the guests than previous of doing longer episodes. And I think it just plays better. I don't know how you feel about this. I think 30-40 minutes is sort of the sweet spot for content for most people.
Yeah.
Different strokes for different folks, but I think they do surveys on that, and that's generally like the number one answer is 30-40 minutes.
I like my videos to be 20 minutes long, except when I'm doing an interview, I'm usually an hour long. And then my podcast, I'm typically around the 30-40 minute mark. And I get tired of listening to myself after that long, But I do also want to mention that from what I've noticed and where I sit, John, you are somebody who is very well connected within like industry circles. And what I love about that is that you're John Newman with everybody, even the industry folks. And I think that speaks volumes as far as your the type of person you are, and you don't care who's in front of you, and if it smells like a skunk, you're going to call it a skunk, and if it sounds good, you're going to say that sounds good, and that's kudos to you as well. With the connections that you have, you can still be John Newman.
Yeah, and I know we had an off-air conversation before we went on tonight, right? I'm one of those guys that believe, like, if you can't say it directly to someone, you shouldn't say it. For example, SGC is a sponsor of my podcast. It's been for years now, and one of the things I know, Peter Steinberg, I told Peter, like, he's called me, I've texted him, I've called him. I'm like, if you guys do something and I don't agree with it, I'm going to be respectful and use tact, but I'm just not going to like everything SGC does is roses and daisies. I'm not
Hmm.
going to be that guy. And I've been on my show, I've been on the podcast and said, hey, SGC's latest decision, not a fan of it. Don't agree with it. I think it's a
Yeah.
bad move. I love them. I love them, but I don't love this. And I think you should be able to do that.
Yeah.
And I've had conversations with Peter, and he said, hey, I heard what you said. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I get it. And you were very respectful, John, and nothing, our relationship hasn't changed,
Yeah.
And so I think you can keep those relationships and but being respectful, but
Yeah.
also being honest too.
Sometimes
And
the best feedback is a criticism or
yeah,
a critique that I don't want to hear how great you are. I want to hear how can I improve.
yeah.
And
And
every
I'll say it because it's not a see. I don't know if you remember when the backlog was happening during
yeah,
COVID, and then SGC decided to make the submission price $100 a card, and they did it on April 1st, April Fool's Day. And at first, I thought it was kind of a joke, and then it came to be that it was a real thing. Bad timing. I think they probably could have picked. And I told that to Peter, and he understood that. He didn't even realize it. You know what I mean?
John, I remember
And
2-3 years ago you had Nat Turner on your podcast,
yeah,
and you were telling him how you don't agree with upcharges.
yeah, hate up charges, right? And I mean, he didn't hang up on me, right? He
Love it.
explained. He explained
Yeah,
what they're, in his opinion, and what they're, why they exist. And I still don't, after hearing them, I was respectful. I don't still agree with that, but we had a conversation, right? And I
yeah,
hope, we had a great 20 minutes after we stopped recording, we talked. So it wasn't like, I got to go, see you later, dude.
yeah,
And I think people appreciate that. I think people rather you do that to them than just behind their back. And it's not besmirching. I ask questions. I didn't say you're dummy or that's stupid. I just don't get it. It seems like a money grab, right? Because
yeah,
that's what it seems like to me. And he explained why it isn't, in his opinion. And at the end of the day, we just agreed to disagree on that one topic, not across the board.
yeah.
He's just very smart, intelligent dude who knows what he's doing.
Sure, sure,
I just don't agree with that aspect of a charge,
sure,
and
sure.
I think people appreciate. I think listeners appreciate that, and I think people who come on the show appreciate that. And I'll never ambush anybody. I always kind of tell them, like, we're going to talk about this. I don't agree with this, and we're going to talk about it.
Yeah,
And I've had guests try to come on from other entities and say, hey, here's the list of questions I will want asked. And I'm like, I'm not doing a scripted show, and
right.
I'm not going to do that. I will tell you what some of the topics we're going to talk about, so you're not caught off guard necessarily, but you're not going to tell me you can't ask me that. Like, I'm not going to be disrespectful. I'm not going to be personal or name call or
Have you
do
ever had a
anything like
guest
that.
do that? Ask you that? You don't have to mention names,
But like
but
to give me like, here's the question. Oh
yeah,
yeah. And
yeah.
my response back via a text was, do your own podcast. Like, you just scripted my show. Like, to do your own.
Right,
Like,
right.
I will tell you what, I will tell you the bulk of what alleys we're going to go down.
Right.
But if you're going to give me 14 questions and say, here's the script, it's become your show and not
Right.
our show.
No, thank you.
You know what I mean? It's not even our show. I like to think, when you've been on the show before, when you come on again, it's not your first time. It's our show. We're both on it. I know it's Sports Car Nation, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
But it's John Newman and Victor Roman talking hobby. It's our show for that hour and a half, or whatever it is, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So if someone gives me 14 questions and said, here's the script, then it's their show under my title.
Sure.
And
Sure.
and I'm not gonna, I'm not doing that. My listeners would crucify me. And I told that to this particular person.
Yeah.
If I do this show, my listenership would string me up in the town square, and deservedly so. They'd be right. I'm not even complaining about it.
Well,
So
all
why
you got
would
to
I do
do
that?
when I go on your show, all you got to do is ask me one question about the rookie card, and then just let me go. And
Yeah, we got 4 episodes. We got October covered, and then we're in the book too. So don't forget that.
yeah,
But you know what I mean. So like, and I'll I'll fill you in on some of that stuff. And I've talked about it on the pod, and I'm not gonna, and even that, I'm not going to like embarrass that person. This person's not even in the hobby anymore. That might be a little hint for those out there, maybe who want to try to solve the mystery without me naming the person. They're not in the hobby. They got bought and they rode off into the sunset. So you might be able to figure out. You may have even already too.
I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, I'll fill in the blanks afterwards. But I'm just not going to do that. Like, I don't think that's fair for me, and I don't think that's fair for the listener. You know what I mean?
100%.
Like, if you come on, you can ask me, "Hey, John, what's on the agenda today?" Right? We do that on Hobby Hotline. That's perfectly acceptable and expected. I think it's almost expected, right?
Yeah.
But if you say, "Hey, here's the 14 questions, John, I want you to ask me," I'm going to say, "I'll ask you some of these, and then I got some other ones that aren't on this sheet as well." But so.
Well, speaking of questions, I got some questions for you on non-sport. All right.
Okay.
This thing is really gaining.
Nervous.
Yeah, no, you're good. I think it's gaining a lot of momentum within the hobby. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, especially the last 4 to 5 years. I think the crescendo during COVID was a catalyst for like a lot of things, even the sports side of the hobby, and it's kind of continued from there. I think more people have gotten into it, even in a small sort of way. People are starting to dabble, right? And then we see things like, I don't do it, but you got, and I don't want to make a commercial, but you got these V Friends things, right?
Yeah.
Not my bag, but listen, you were at the National the last few years, right? No shortages of people around that booth plunking down cash and buying that stuff, right? Not different strokes for different folks. So that's not sports, whether you like that or not. That is non-sports.
And I think you would agree with this next statement too, John, and that is that the genre of non-sport is long overdue. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's been around. Heck, it's been around since, I mean, some of the first cards were like actresses, silent film actresses, and things like that, and pirates and other things. Fictional characters were
what was
on tobacco cards.
What was your first exposure to non-sport?
My first exposure to non-sports was, I'd say, 1977, Victor. And I'll even go a step further. It was my first cards. Even before my first 1979 Topps pack, I got Jaws cards from the Jaws movie release.
Yeah.
I didn't open packs. I don't even remember if like my friend just said, "Here, you want these?" Or "Here's a bunch of them. I don't like these." But I had Jaws cards.
Yep.
Those were my first trading cards, period.
Yep.
Of any genre, sports, non-sports. And then Star Wars.
Star Wars for me.
Star Wars. Yep.
77.
Star Wars, Battlestar Galactica.
Planet of the Apes.
Planet of the Apes, E.T. A lot of those movie and TV shows. I remember the A-Team cards, Happy Days. I didn't have a ton of Happy Days, but I remember the cards.
You remember them, yep.
So at a young age, but I wasn't putting them in like top loaders, or we were just putting rubber bands around them. Yep. I probably was drawing faces on them for all I can remember. They weren't. I wasn't collecting them for the intrinsic value. I was collecting them because I like the characters, or I like the movie, or I watched the show.
Yeah.
That's why. So I beat those things up, put rubber bands around them.
Remember Mork and Mindy?
Mork and Mindy. Nanu. I can't do it, but I love Robin Williams.
But when we talk about, the spirit of collecting, and that is the nostalgia factor. And I believe this is how come non-sport is gaining a lot of momentum.
Yeah.
Is the nostalgia factor, and then it could be also the investor types, right? Looking for that one little nuance, that one little niche that isn't really exposed yet. So I think that might have a lot to do with it. But what I'm getting asked of is, and that is in the rookie card, and I have kind of an issue calling a non-sport card a rookie card. And I guess let's start there, because to me, a rookie card, it deals with like an athlete or some type of team sport or some type of licensing, and that doesn't really fall into the criteria of non-sport. So what's your take on that term, rookie card, as opposed to what I prefer, first appearance?
And I think you answered in that last part of your question. That's the answer too, Victor, is, a musician, an actor, right? They have numerous films. There's not a card set for every film where there's a card set for every year of baseball or football or basketball, right? So generally in the non-sports realm, the first appearance is what's considered a rookie card on the non-sports side of the house. But that area gets grayer too, because there's so many, I don't want to say so many because there's so many scare, but there's different, even countries producing different things. So let me give you an example. It might be if I get a little visual.
There you
give
go.
you an example.
Show
So
me.
I'm a huge, those that know me know I'm a huge Billy Joel guy. That's one of my favorite musicians. So when I really got hot and heavy back into non-sports, I said, man, I got to get Billy Joel's first appearance on a card or whatever it is. It happens to be, this is a 1980 Panini The Rock and Pop collection. This is a sticker. And I try to get it without the glare. It's a PSA 8.
I'm sorry.
Nope, there you go. And he looks more like Sylvester Stallone here.
He does.
Yeah. And I have another one, a lesser grade one that's actually in my showcase at my show for sale because I upgraded and put that in my show inventory. And this is now in my PC. This is 1980. Let me show the back. You can see Rocket. It's a sticker.
Okay.
Right? And it's obviously PSA will grade it. SGC will grade it. This is generally, so I'll use the word generally, so that gray word, right?
Yeah.
Generally considered his mainstream rookie card, rookie sticker, whatever, rookie appearance, first appearance. And these were in packs. These were sticker packs. You could open a pack and pull one of these out. I didn't do that. I just bought the two that I do own. But I'll be honest with you. There's a 1976 Genesis jeans card that was. You remember how they used to do, have a baseball player attached to a glove?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Genesis Jeans had Billy Joel as I guess a spokesman for the jeans company, and there was a card attached to the jeans. I've never seen one in person. There's rumors that it could be in single digits or very low double digits. And if I always go on eBay and try to see if I even can find one. Whether I can afford one, that's a whole nother show. But even if I've never, they're very, 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 very rare. So to me, that's why generally this is considered his general population.
Now, is that
that Genesis Jeans is 1976, 4 years earlier.
4 years
didn't
earlier.
Come out of a pack. You had to buy a pair of jeans or steal the card off the pair of jeans if you're of that ilk.
Right. So then, coming from my side of the world is like a rookie card is a card made of cardboard. Stickers have typically, historically, never been considered or deemed as rookie cards. But you're saying that's different in the non-sport genre.
Yeah, it's generally what you said when you asked the question. It's generally first appearance
Okay.
on any kind of collectible.
Okay.
Which, you know, if based on that, you could say that 1976 Janis Jeans card, if you will, is, but I've never seen one. Like,
Do you know
it's,
the pop report on that thing? Sounds rare.
I don't even know if it's
Okay.
even, that's a great question. I'm, and now I got some homework to do apparently, but
So
I've
let
never even seen one, Victor, listed
yeah.
on any kind of selling platform or in person. It was someone else that told me about them. That's how I know they exist, is through someone else. Because I had posted this on my social media. Hey, I upgraded my Billy Joel rookie, and someone else messaged me and said, "Hey, dude, you know, there's a '76 Janis Jeans card." I'm like, there
Right.
is, and that's kind of how non-sports works. Is so here's I'll show a couple more. I'm a big Beastie Boys guy. Growing up in Brooklyn, I knew about
Nice.
the Beastie
Oh
Boys
yeah.
before they broke big, right?
Yep.
And so everyone thinks, including myself, thinks that, remember the Yo MTV Raps
Oh yeah. Oh
cards
yeah.
from Pro Set, right? No, these are the glares, not great, but these are the Beastie Boys cards out of the Yo MTV Raps. For years, I thought I had Beastie Boys rookie cards. There's 2 years earlier, there's another, I haven't got it yet. It's on my list to acquire. There's
Okay.
another company that made Beastie Boys cards. The name's escaping me. If I wasn't trying to think of it, I would know. But that's the non-sports community. It's just when someone else will clue you in, like, hey, John, 2 years
Okay.
before that, there's Beastie Boys stuff.
So let me ask you this, because this is one of the questions that I received. I believe it was an email that somebody sent me. They were wanting to know, like, they were struggling because with music, you have the player first, or not the player, but a musician first appearing with the band and a player appearing by himself. And
Good
it's like,
question.
which one do I go with here?
Yeah, let's use same, a later, Panini's done these rock and pop sticker sets and packs for years. And so the Nirvana year, right? There's a Nirvana band card or sticker, and there's a Kurt Cobain by himself sticker. And there's the rub, right? Which one is the Kurt Cobain rookie? And I know it's a cop out answer. I'm going to say the Kurt Cobain by himself, the Kurt Cobain rookie, and the Nirvana band sticker is the Nirvana rookie. And
Okay.
I think they both have, and they both do have value. If you go on eBay, a high grade version of each of
Oh
those
yeah.
cards is not going to be cheap.
I can
So
imagine.
I think there can be multiple kind of answers for that, right?
Yeah.
And where in sports, we most of the time, especially when we think on the vintage side, we have kind of one sort of answer. Not
Right.
all the time, but most, 90 whatever percent of the time.
Yeah.
Non-sports is so gray, that there's people who think, hey, I got the first appearance, and then you
No,
find
you
out
don't.
later on, hey, they made this in Brazil. Like I tried to find it. I don't know where I put it, and I'll find it. I have Al Pacino on a Brazilian sticker. I'm a big Al Pacino, one of my favorite actors. So I got that. That's his first appearance. It's 1976 on a Brazilian release. There's not a ton of them, but
Yeah.
that's considered his thing. Robert De Niro, I don't have it yet. Well, one of the cards which I thought that's on my list to acquire that I thought would be his rookie, someone else said, no, John, he's on another thing 4 years before that one.
Yeah.
And because it's not because it doesn't correlate with a season like sports does, it really muddies and clouds that water. And
Yeah.
and some of these first appearances are not US releases. They're Brazil, Spain,
Yeah.
Portugal,
And that was,
even Czechoslovakia.
let's go there, because it's one of my questions that I wanted to ask you. And that is, when we talk about it, officially licensed card.
Yeah.
Should that or should that not be part of the equation? Now, I do like and respect the fact your Billy Joel card there is made by Panini, a
Yep.
reputable card manufacturer, or in this case, a sticker manufacturer, as opposed to some company we've never heard of in Brazil back in 1968.
Yeah.
Speak to that a little bit. What's your take on that?
It's tough, right?
Mhm.
Because, right, it's like comic books. I'll use the comic book analogy, right? We see like the first, the first edition of the comic book, Spider-Man #1. But Spider-Man might have been in another comic book prior, like the first appearance. So what is the Spider-Man rookie comic book? And I'm using Spider-Man for example. There might be a better, like, all right, I'll use a better example that I know rings true.
Mhm.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. There's a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic book #1, but their first appearance was in another comic book when they were in the book.
Mhm.
And so, in a sense, they have like kind of two rookie cards, two rookie books, if you
I
will.
got you.
Their
I got
first one as their own entity, and then when they first showed up on the scene as in another comic book, and then they got their own comic book. So there's it's like that with non-sports as well sometimes, and there's so much of this overseas stuff, it's hard to discount it too, because it's known. Like it's like you can't throw the baby out with the
and
bathwater.
I
As
and I'm
cliche
I
goes.
would be okay with, or I would feel confident in purchasing something like that. But what concerns me is if it's a company that that it's like a bootleg or some type of you know what do they call that?
Mixtape or out of the back of a truck.
Yeah, something that's
Yeah.
not authentically made by a official card manufacturer. It's a fake. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And
custom
there's no
car
way
like
to.
Broders. Remember Broders back in the day,
Yeah,
where it's
yeah,
just a guy in his basement.
yeah.
No, it's a great point, and it's a great question. I think of it like this: even if it doesn't come out as necessarily of a pack, Victor, if it was distributed in some kind of product, you know
Right.
what I mean. So, for
Yeah.
example, I know these are not non-sports. So here's a Joe Louis uh, card, and here's a Jack Dempsey card. Right, I'm gonna now
Are
show.
those like strip cards or actual cards?
Yeah, these are Eastern Bloc country. I'm not even sure if it's Czechoslovakia
Oh
or
wow.
Yugoslavia. It says Sloboda. I got these in a collection. They're in
Okay.
my personal, like they're not in my show inventory. I've asked people, I've asked experts, I've asked boxing collectors,
Mhm.
have you ever seen these before? No one's ever seen them. I've searched on eBay, I've searched on ComC,
Wow.
never, never have found these. I don't even know
Yeah.
like how many of these exist in the wild,
So it
right?
could be a bootleg thing that somebody made in their basement.
Well, no, they're chocolate. I did that much.
Okay.
I found out by like
Okay.
if you read the back by like searching some of these terms, they're made by a chocolate company, um, in the Eastern Bloc country. So
Gotcha.
this was probably, they wrapped the chocolate, and this was in the chocolate. And there's other uh, celebrities, athletes. These are just two boxing. I also collect boxing cards. That's a whole
Have you
nother.
talked to
That's a,
Bobby Burrell about that?
no,
Get a
I haven't.
chance.
I didn't.
Bobby Burrell is extremely knowledgeable in food and beverage issues. He even
Okay,
has
there you go.
a database that deals with all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
there you go. That might be the lead that ends the mystery, right? And
yeah,
that's the beauty of the hobby, right? I asked Rich Klein, have you ever seen these come through ComC?
yeah.
I know they're not listed now, but no, those are stump me, stump the Schwab, stump the Klein.
So
Um, yeah, go
that
ahead.
I can see that now. Being the pre-war era, right? That kind of stuff acceptable. But how about nowadays? Is it like set recognition, is that an important thing? Like tops 77 tops Star Wars. That's like good set recognition. Is
I
that
think that makes it easier, but
right?
I don't think it's the end all be all, Victor. Like
Okay.
I think it's easier provenance, right? It's easier to track. You could buy a box still sealed of 77
Do
Star Wars.
do they carry more weight? I guess is my question.
I think they're more known. I think,
Okay.
and I guess maybe in a sense that does carry more weight because they're more of a known commodity. Just like I can't even sell these, right? I don't even know.
Yeah. How do you
Someone's gonna
list them?
say I could put $100 on these, or I could put 100, or I could put $1,000 each on them, right? And in either case, or I could put $10 each on them. And in all three of those cases, someone's gonna say, "Where the heck are you coming up with that price?"
Right.
Right? In the age of cops, like, someone's gonna say, "What you do? Pull that off the top of your head?" And
Yeah.
my answer would be, "Yeah, because that's the only place I can get it from." Right? And so the difference is with, like in your example with the 77 tops, we can look at a pop report. We can kind of surmise how much of it was produced, how many
Yeah.
were submitted for grading on a registry. So there's some record, right? It's like, we have something to fall back on.
Right.
With a lot of this stuff in non-sports, I hate to say it like this, it's sort of you're flying by the seat of your pants.
Yeah. No,
Um,
and I would feel more comfortable if I were to start collecting it. I would feel more comfortable with something that has a little bit more set recognition, and something that is probably officially licensed by some kind of major card manufacturer. I would feel safer
and I
collecting it.
think Victor, I think you just hit on the number one reason why maybe some people don't cross over into the non-sports realm. I think
Yeah.
it's confusing, right? I think human nature is like, I think sometimes we're resistant to change, but we're also resistant to the unknown. Like, what rabbit hole am I going down here? How do I know I'm not getting taken advantage of? How do I know what this is worth when I can't get it necessarily out of a pack? I do research on it and very little is coming up about it. Like, I don't even know where to start, right? Is why we're talking about it today, me and you,
Yeah.
right? And that's why people kind of shy away from, and I get it. They're not wrong, right? That's their take on it.
I don't want to
I'm
put you,
just sort of willing to go into the twilight zone,
I don't want to put you in the hot seat, but tough question when it comes to non-sport. WWE wrestling, is that sport or non-sport?
Man, you can make an argument for both, right? I'm not a big wrestling fan, so
Yeah.
I hope I'm not. You could say it's a sport. They're athletic. They're jumping around, climbing up on ropes,
Yeah.
doing all sorts of moves. But we also know, let's be real, it's scripted. So they're
Yeah.
in a sense actors and actresses, right? With
Right.
women's wrestling
Right.
and men's, like the outcome is predetermined. These guys are friends and going out to dinner after supposedly beating each other up in the square circle. So you could say it's more like a movie. So they're actors and actresses, right? But you also got to be like, I don't care that you're 350 pounds. You have to be athletic to do that. I'm not 350 pounds. I'm probably not jumping up from off the top rope and doing, some kind of wrestling move without hurting myself and ending my career in my first match, right? So
Right.
there's talent there. So I know it's a cop out answer. I think you can make the argument for
Both.
both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this question, and it deals more with different characters, right? If a specific person plays a different character. Now, I know like Bruce Lee was in some cards from the 1960s. I have a few of them somewhere around here.
Yeah, the Green Hornet, I
Well,
believe.
Well, that was going to go there, but he had some with the movie Enter the Dragon.
Greg, yep.
Okay. And then in 1969, the Green Hornet came out. And so
Yep.
Bruce Lee was featured in those cards. So would you say that then there is a Bruce Lee Enter the Dragon rookie and a Bruce Lee Green Hornet rookie? Or how would you look at that?
As someone with no dog in that fight, I don't, and no offense to Bruce Lee, I watch the movies, but I'm not necessarily a Bruce Lee super fan, so I don't necessarily have an
What?
interest. No,
Oh man.
no, but I don't want to acquire that card. But let's say I did. I think I would want the first appearance, which what would be the Enter the Dragon.
Enter the Dragon.
And let's be real, that movie is a classic. Like,
oh man.
you don't have to be even a Bruce Lee fan to know Enter the Dragon, right?
Yeah.
Like a lot
That
of people.
scene with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah,
Was that Kareem? Yeah, that was Kareem.
Yeah. So I think my answer to that question is Enter the Dragon.
Okay.
And I think that would be the majority of the non-sport community. But there's probably a small percentage, Victor, that would say the Green Hornet.
Okay. So it does replicate kind of the sports a little bit in the first appearance. This is where he first appeared on cardboard. Therefore,
to me, and I think
all of this is subjective. Really, it's all up in the air. We're just trying to make sense of heads or tails. So overall collector consensus. Then, what's your take on that? On these types of things?
For me, and I think the majority of the non-sport community, I'll say majority. It's not 100% consensus. Its first appearance on I don't want to even say widely distributed, Victor, but fairly well distributed. Like, the example I brought up with the Billy Joel thing, that Janis Jeans card is so rarely seen. Only a few people probably own it. And the 80 Panini sticker is, and they're not a million of those either, but it's just easier to obtain, and it came out of a pack where the Janis Jeans card was with a pair of jeans when you bought the pair of jeans. So I think the general consensus is distributed with a product, especially like food or tobacco, or on its own. Like the Panini stickers were their own entity. I think that sort of thing. Like,
are food and beverage issues, are they strong in that market?
I think so. I think they're stronger than something regional or very, very. If we're taking value out of the equation, now listen, I'm not arguing that the Janis Jeans Billy Joel card is worth more than the 80 Panini Rock and Pop sticker. I'm just telling you the 80s Rock and Pop sticker is generally viewed as his rookie issue. If someone approached me, Victor, and said, I'll give you the Janis Jeans card for your PSA 8 Panini Joe, I would make that trade, assuming it was in decent shape and that sort of thing. I'd make that trade, and then I'd just go buy another Panini Billy Joel sticker and have both.
Yeah.
But most people would say that the Panini is the first really widely distributed issue.
Gotcha. And I know
I don't know if that makes any sense.
It does. But I mean, it's also, a pretty reputable card manufacturer too.
And
again, that's where I lean.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
And I don't disagree with you.
And I'm not
easier.
I know some people would probably say, "Oh, don't worry about non-sport. Just don't try to put no identifiers, or don't try to figure out non-sport. Just leave it alone." And I get that, but at the same time, I can assure folks that I would say within the last 2 to 3 years, I've probably had anywhere between 20 to 30 messages or emails sent to me asking me questions about non-sport, and so that then to me debunks the myth that nobody cares about that in non-sport. I would beg to differ, and I can probably surface the proof that people do indeed are wondering and trying to figure out, wrap their heads around non-sport rookie cards. And so, um, man, this is eye
Well,
opening.
I think that comes from a place. I think you'll agree with me. You can tell me if you don't. I think people care or want to know because whether or not you collect cards for the dollar sign or the value of it, right? We all kind of care. Hey, what's that worth? Or
Mhm.
am I getting a good deal if I pay that much for it? I want to own it, but what should I be paying? Am I getting taken advantage of, or is that a good deal, right? And so those are all important questions and important to get the answers to when we can, and they're not gray answers. Because if you're gonna be in that space, you want to be as knowledgeable as you can, or at least on what you're buying
Sure,
or trying to acquire, right?
sure. And I'll be honest with you, I don't get into it more for that very reason, because I don't know much about it, because I can't verify which one is actually a rookie card. And so I walk into it and I'm hesitant, and I'll shop around a
It's
little bit,
scary.
and I picked this one up at the National. It's a Fred Rogers 1991 Pro set.
Yeah.
And I picked this up because I love the guy, right? Great guy. But at the same time, I was able to verify through eBay that this was his rookie. He doesn't have very much at all out there, and
Yeah.
this is,
There you go.
and if I show this, there might be somebody in the comments that say, no, 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 he's got something,
Yeah, there's always the
1979.
chance. That's the thing with non-sport. There's always it could be something in Portugal that they
Right.
made because they love Mister Rogers there, right? And we don't know about it the
Yeah.
same way as maybe a mainstream brand, and that happens a lot. Like there was another Al Pacino that I was looking at, and then someone keyed me in onto the 1976 Spanish sticker.
Yeah.
And then I got that one. I've had that happen where you have one thinking that's the one, and then it's not, and you got to get
Yeah.
that one.
You see, and
And so
in sports
it's
that
like
wouldn't apply.
yeah, so it can be a wild goose chase
Yeah.
sometimes. And one day you go to sleep thinking you have the first appearance, first card, first sticker, and then you wake up the next day to a message that says, "Sorry, dude, 2 years earlier this company made so and so on this card or sticker."
Yeah.
And now you're like, I got to get that. And then sometimes you look and then you see the price tag of said item and you're like, no, I can't get that, or I'm not getting that anymore. Like I can't,
Yeah.
I probably can't buy. I can't even find one. But the price tag on that 76 Genesis jeans Billy Joe's probably going to be out of my budget, right?
Yeah.
So I'm happy with, then at the end of the day, you got to be happy too with what you have. I mean, or for the
Yeah.
majority of it.
A couple of years ago at the National, I was given a copy of a Beckett non-sport magazine, and I probably spent 30 to 40 minutes looking for that thing tonight, John. And I don't know where I put it.
I don't know what it is tonight. There's stuff I can't find on my desk too. I don't know if we both got, the burglaries going on in the hobby. I don't know if our houses got ransacked, but it's weird. I'm missing. I'm sure it's around here somewhere. I just don't know if they fell down. I just got so much stuff. It
I can
could be,
imagine.
who knows? Yeah, it could be. And I just bought a collection, so that's all over the place. It could
That
be
doesn't help.
under.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be
Like
under. It could be under something like that.
I bring that up to ask you, is there any resources that you use to study non-sport cards or that kind
the,
of thing?
the community itself, Victor, like the
Yeah.
people who do collect non-sport. And listen, I'm not the quintessential, whatever the word is,
Yeah.
non-sports guy. I know a little something, something, but there's people who know more than me who've helped me
Yeah.
figure some of this terrain out. And those folks are out there. just like we have sports cards, message boards, and forums. There's non-sport forums. Or you could post. You could post that. As a matter of fact, going back to these, I know it's not non-sports, but these two boxing Eastern Bloc chocolate cards, if you will. I went onto one of those kind of boards and posted these. Like, anyone know anything about these? Seen these? Anything? Give me
Yeah.
something. Make something up. I don't care. And crickets, right? So, but in many cases, someone will know. Like, hey, I know I have that. Here's. Let me fill in some blanks for you. So
Yeah.
utilize those resources. They're out there. They're not as many as what we would see on the sports side. Obviously,
Yeah.
that's a bigger hobby field, and we know why. It's self-explanatory. But there are non-sports forums and message boards. Post, even you don't even have to necessarily go onto a message board itself, although that's sort of cutting out the middleman. But you can post on your own social media and say, hey, what does anyone know about these? It just takes one person
Yeah.
who knows,
Yeah.
right, to see it.
Yeah.
It's and that's all it takes, and mystery could be solved, and it's happened like that before. Like, hey, man, I know about those. I grew up in Czechoslovakia. That was a candy company, and they put those inside each candy. And I'm just,
Yeah.
and that's how we fill in those blanks. So ask questions like you're doing tonight,
Yeah.
right? Ask
Absolutely.
questions. They won't all get answered, but I think you probably know more now than you did, 40 minutes ago, right? And so, um, ask questions, post stuff, and then some people will kind of fill in the
Yeah.
blanks on sometimes, and then sometimes, like with those, you don't know yet, but maybe someday I will.
It's getting popular, and I know I spoke with a manufacturer at the National called Kakawao. Remember
That's
Kakawao?
just fun to say. I don't own any Cockawell cards, but I want to own some Cockawell cards for the
Yeah,
Cockawell future.
but they are very a lot of non-sport stuff they're
Yeah,
creating.
and
A
they are
lot
actually very big in
in
where is
Japan.
it,
Yeah,
Korea or Japan?
yeah,
Yeah, they do the Disney. I mean, they do a Disney release that's huge.
yeah.
So
Well, I wanted to just for giggles look through eBay with you.
sure.
Let me bring up that page here. 1 second. All right. Let
The
me.
eBay, is this some kind of new site?
I punched in non-sport RC and just see
Yeah.
what
Oh
what
boy,
come up. Well, yeah.
who knows
Well,
what you're gonna get?
it's eBay, so they're all rookie cards, right?
Yeah, yeah. There's no controversy.
And thus being the dangers of this all.
And who knew hockey wasn't a sport? I saw a Quebec Nordiques card up there.
Yeah.
All
Rocker
right.
chicks. I never heard of it.
Yeah.
Never heard of it. Um,
Yeah. There's some really regional stuff too, Victor, as you're seeing here with
yeah.
some of these fantasy art. Some of the stuff's going
Okay.
to be custom.
So
Some
this is
and
like custom,
talented
man.
people. I'm not trying to be like talented people make some of the stuff, but they're doing it on their printer.
Right, right.
You know what I
And
mean? Like.
that's the part that I would want to shy away from.
Now, bench warmer series, I remember those back in the day. That's a legitimate, like, that was a packed out distributed product in boxes and
Really? Okay.
packs.
I've
Yeah,
never seen
I
it.
me- yeah, I remember it. I remember it. But you're gonna get a lot of these sort of. I
Battlestar
made
Galactica.
these. You know,
Yeah.
Allen and Ginter. Who knew that was non-sports?
This is
But you
taking off
get,
too.
Marvel, right?
Oh
You
yeah.
got Marvel back from back in the day. Skybox made it.
There's a ton of it
Impel.
though, right?
Yeah, different companies got the licensing. So there's more than one Marvel release. So which one is, whatever character's rookie? I would argue the first appearance, right?
Right.
Whatever year that would happen to be.
See, now this I would get into because I'm a big Marvel fan,
Yeah.
and I
So what's
grew up.
black? What's black? Like type in, not to run your show for you,
No, no,
but type in Black Panther rookie and just see what comes up there. What
yeah.
kind of rabbit hole does that create? Whoops, you put blank. That change the
Oh,
N to a C.
thank you for that. Ah, I did it again. Come on. There we
There
go.
you go. And now we got Carolina Panthers. Like, I don't know. There's something going on in our defense, and there's something going on with eBay because I've done some searches and
Yeah.
like stuff that's not what I'm looking for
This
has
isn't what
come
we're
up.
looking for, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. You know, Black Panther first appearance that'll probably bring up comic books. You know, it's that's here lies the there you go.
Now we got
We
toys.
got
Oh my
we
god.
got yeah.
A
It's
Black Panther
anything
RC race
any
car.
yeah anything that's called Black Panther's gonna come up.
They're all
Whether
rookie cards, all of them.
yeah rookie cards and cars. There we go. There's something.
Yes,
1978.
1978. Wow. See
That's
there?
see, that's a card game. So that was a playing game. But is that the first appearance? So look to the right of that, Victor.
Yeah.
Here's 1980 French Marvel superheroes, number 22, Black Panther. So which one? One's a card game.
Right.
One's an actual, like, it looks like a pack pulled product.
And another one's made
Right?
in France. So
Yeah.
to me,
So
the way
which
my
one,
brain.
if you're a Black Panther fan, which one do you recognize? Which one do you want? Do you want them both and hedge your bets?
Right.
Or do you target one of these and say, this is what I'm recognizing?
Right.
You know, and that's where the gray area is.
Right.
If you go by year alone, the 78 game is, and we didn't even scroll down. Maybe there's a 76 we're not seeing.
Right.
You know, 1990.
Plus Wolverine.
Yeah. There's the cars.
There's the 1990 rookie RC, you know.
So right now, if you ask me, it looks like that 1978 Marvel game card.
Right.
I know it's part of the game, but it is a card, right? Is the first appearance.
And it's all like in your conditioning on what you see, because like to me, this is like an out of the country type manufacturer. This is a board game. So in my mind, neither one of these qualify, but I do like the 1990 because it is this is like
it's a more mainstream. It's more
mainstream, more of a licensed. I mean, who made this? Marvel Entertainment Group. This one was actually made by Marvel. It looks like.
Yeah, Impel. I believe it's Impel, which I think was owned. I think they were a subsidiary of, I could be wrong, Skybox.
Yeah.
Skybox Impel.
Yeah. So yeah, man. Wow, what a world of non-sport has to offer.
Crazy.
Huh? It's just wild.
And there's some it's some mysteries will just never be solved. And we're gonna have to be all right with that. Like we have no choice. You know, it's just the landscape. I mean, we have that even on the sports side too, right?
Somewhat.
You know,
it's especially pre-war. There's no putting your finger on pre-war, in my opinion. I've spoken to many people, many dignitaries of the hobby, and they can't wrap their heads around pre-war either. There's just too much food and beverage. There's too much scarcity. There's too much bootlegging.
Yeah, there's so many different compartments, right?
Independent manufacturers, companies,
independents, food companies, regional brands. You know, like even when we go to the sports in 1976, you know, the disc cards. There's Crane, there's Pepsi. It's the same card round card with just a different company's name on
Yeah.
it. Crane, Pepsi. So you could have a 1976 Crane disc Tom Seaver or a 1976 Pepsi disc Tom Seaver.
Yeah.
Other than it saying Pepsi and Crane, they're pretty much, and the coloring's a little different. It's the same photo. It's the same size. They were just, those companies paid for the right to just put them in their products.
But I think like the error as hobbyists now is that you look in that everybody considers like their own, everybody has their own version of a rookie card non-sport, but you see it here in the listings, right? And there's no, you can't go by that.
Rhyme or reason.
There's no validity behind
Yeah.
what eBay is saying. So I don't
There's
know.
no, like we have rules kind of on the sports side with the Players Association, or we should have rules on the sports side.
Yeah.
As you know.
Yeah.
There really is nothing that doesn't exist at all.
Yeah.
Like even in our heads, that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So I think at the end of the day, it's whatever like you enjoy. If you're into non-sports, it's whatever you consider and enjoy. Like someone will tell me, John, that 80 Panini's not Billy Joel's, but for me it is. And so I'm not going to fight anybody about it, but yeah. I'm comfortable with that debate in my own head that for me, I'm comfortable owning that card and enjoying that card, right?
Yeah.
Or sticker. I say card, it's a sticker.
Right. You
get the gist. So and it's more like that definitely on the non-sports side than on the sports side.
Yeah.
It's sort of the Wild West. It's the Wild West in a way.
Right. Yeah, no, but then I guess I find myself with the type of work or type of channel, type of content that I produce, you got people asking, and I wish I had answers for them in non-sport, but I really don't. It's tough, and but at the same time, I enjoy trying to figure it out. That's kind of that
is fun, right?
And I guess it's one of them things, and this is a thing that I even touched on, John, at the end of my book, my final chapter, and it was, figuring out what works for me and what I believe, and that's kind of how I have to look at non-sport and just wrap my head around it and get close to maybe his earliest years. I would tend to, I like Marvel and I like music. So, to me, getting cards.
So you're saying, right here, you're announcing on your show, you're going to be entering the non-sports arena. Is that what I just heard? Is that what?
Maybe.
Like, I'll help you as best as I can.
Yeah.
I'm here for you.
Yeah.
I'll be a enabler, if you will, if you want to go.
Yeah. Between Kakawao and Tops is starting to make a lot of non-sport too now.
Yeah, and like you said at the top of the show, man, it's not a new thing. I think it's just gained a lot more steam in recent years. Like there's people probably think it's a new thing, maybe didn't research that, but it's like we talked about, my first cards were non-sports cards and those Jaws cards.
Yep.
Which is why I didn't take a bath for 4 years because I was scared to go near water. So thanks to the movie, which was, by the way, the first movie I ever saw in the theater at like 5 or 6 years old as well. So
I can probably, I was in there too. Well, Brother John, that's going to be it for this one, man. I really do appreciate your help.
It was fun. Thanks.
It's
I hope I filled in. I didn't fill in all the blanks, that much I know, but I hope I filled in a couple along the way.
You sure did.
Yeah, it's one of those realms, man, that like there's some questions that will just be, it's like mysteries, who built Stonehenge and how did the pyramids, like they're just beyond imagination. Like doesn't make any logical sense. Non-sports is on a smaller scale, kind of like that.
Yeah, and I love nerding out on that. And with that, I'll even invite those of you who are watching this episode If
Yeah.
you have more information, if this is your niche and your genre and you know quite a bit about it, please reach out. And I would love to have you on and we can expound on this even more if you have something to offer. So let me know. And John, I'm going to let you go here, brother. And I really do appreciate you coming on. I appreciate all that you do for us in the hobby. I see it behind the scenes, and I really do sincerely. Much respect to you, man. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate that, Victor, and I appreciate it, frankly, even more coming from someone like yourself who's right there, right on par with me. So, thank you.
All righty. With all that said, as I always like to say, my friends, remember that not all rookie cards are created equal. Until next time, buenos nachos, muchachos.